everybody. I'm starting here with part two of my combat video. I wanted to just issue a couple corrections on my part one. I noted them in the description of my part one video if you go back there. And by the way, please, in this video or the previous one, please drop anything in the comments that you see I do wrong or whatever in case somebody comes later and tries to learn from these videos. Um, One of the ones, it was a small thing, but the pirate only did one action, and I immediately pivoted over to the cleric to do more stuff because I got excited. Um, I should have had the pirate do the second action, which I'll do in a sec here. And then the second piece was I was having this discussion about sort of mains and assists, and as I was mentioning, it's a little bit, in my opinion, kind of buried, not in the combat section, but back here in this one-off page 43, which is actually really important because it has the order of play, zone rotation, etc. There's this section here about the main character spot. And the part that I wanted to reference is that if you're an assist and you're melee, you get an automatic zeal when you're attacking into combat, um, into the into the combat with the main. Um, but it's only the case that if you're engaged and you do an offensive spell or ranged attack, you then have disadvantage. So as far as I can tell here, there's no consequence of the assist shooting into combat or anything like that. If you're an assist, you're free to use range attacks or offensive spells. So what I did was okay in terms of if you recall, the pirate shot into combat with the cleric and killed one of the guys. So that was okay. So where we'd ended last time is the pirate had taken a shot, killed one of the pygmies. The cleric had smashed one with a morning star and killed it as well. So the one thing I forgot was I didn't do a second action with the pirate. So I wanted to quickly talk about that. There's a little bit of a discrepancy here, so I want to clarify. On this card, it says basic attack once per round, even though you have two actions. There's actually a little bit more detail in the combat section that clarifies this. Let's see if I can get there. Oh man, I've memorized the pages that certain things are on. That's troublesome. Um, so it says here, what was I thinking about? Your actions. In the player section, it says character phase. I'm sorry, it's actually in the action section here. Um, it says you can only, where is it? It's under, upon activation, you have up to two actions. An action can be any of the following and can be formed up to two times except for basic attack or any action that would inflict possible damage to the enemy, including conditions like flaming and or fire or bleeding. Such actions can be viewed as offensive in only one. So that the bigger rule, which I think they should just state, is that in only one offensive action can be executed per given round. One action that can do damage. So whether it's a basic attack or a spell or something like that that can do damage, you can only do one. So that means Jarlek the pirate had attacked, so that means I have to take one of these other actions. Um, I don't have any desire to do most of them, so the default is always to get another Zeal token. So I will do that here. And as I mentioned, the heroic action, uh, hopefully, I don't know, maybe I can look offline and drop it in the comments. I didn't prepare to look up the page here. But the heroic action basically allows you to do an extra action during a phase. So you could, for example, get two zeal tokens, or you could attack and then do a helpful spell and still have one more action to do. So that's the purpose of the heroic action. Sometimes you'll get them through different effects. Here we are. Good. During hero activation, the heroic action token can be spent to grant a free action that can be any action. Upon rest or short rest, you get one that can be given to one of your character, to a hero of your choice, two in a two-player party. At the start of a one-shot game, which is what we have here, each hero gains one. So essentially, it gives you an extra free action. One thing I have to check back with the Discord is, does that then override the idea that you can only do one offensive action a turn? Rules as written, it would seem like no. It would seem like it would allow you to kind of like move an extra time or cast a helpful spell. Anyway, so that's most of my corrections. Where we left off, so I just gave Jarlek, the pirate, an extra zeal token to account for the second action. A similar thing with Dareth over here, the cleric. I don't think we're happy with where we are, so I don't think Dareth needs to move. I could like cast Cure Wounds or something like that, but I won't. I um, I could also use Eulogy, but there's no more attacks in this round, so I will just do similar and get another Zeal token as the second action for Dareth. Okay, so that was the end of the character activation. And so as a reminder, in the second round forward, the first round you have the opening, then the enemies go. In uh, the second round and onward, the characters go, then the enemies go. So, I mean, it's basically the similar structure. The only difference is the first round, you don't have a normal character phase, you have an opener phase. Every other round, your characters get to go normally. So, we're going to go back to the enemy phase, and as a reminder, the first thing that happens is enemy engagement. So, we would go from the lowest numbered zone, which is here, and then grab the lowest numbered pygmy. There's only one here. And his default action will always be to shift one and try to engage with heroes if he can. So that would be pretty obvious. He will move here and engage with Dareth, and now we're back to two enemies on Dareth, and that's the end of the engagement. This guy's already engaged, so he would not try to move, so we're set. As I mentioned, pygmies do have shuffling, which is an ability, I might as well just show it since I keep referencing it. And if I haven't mentioned, the lexicon has the symbols here, and then a couple pages back is many of the terms in the game. I think they're still adding to this, but shuffling, I believe, is in here. So it says, at the end of round, enemies move and engage heroes in the next zone. So in this case, the idea is if Jarlek was up here and was trying to shoot them repeatedly or something, they would shuffle up and attack Jarlek. They're kind of like roaming around attacking. But since there's no heroes in this other zone, they will not move up here and attack, is my pretty strong suspicion. So they're already engaged, so they're going to attack Dareth. So we move from enemy engagement to enemy activation, I believe is the term for it. Let's see. Enemy activation. So we do this, we roll the activation dice again, these two. Let's see if they do something different this time than vomit, please. I hate vomit. I think it's more vomit. Jesus. Oh gosh. Okay. Even worse. So last time was a vomit hit the entire zone. Now we can go, I think, the reference for oh good, it's on the next page. So +1 plus zone. So the action now affects the zone and increase the left most numerical value of the action by +1. Whenever you see that, it says increase the leftmost numeric value of the action +1. It usually means add 1 damage, but depends on the action. Doesn't affect range. So basically they're doing the exact same thing. I believe 6 is vomit. Yeah, 5 to 7 is vomit. So this is bad news. They're doing the exact same thing. Uh, Ironically, I think it will be the exact same thing because we had one more pygmy here, so they did one more damage. Now there's only 2. So just to go through the math again so we can arrive at the same conclusion, we start with the base damage of 2 necrotic there for vomit. Then we add on 1 for mob rule because there's one more pygmy. So for every 2 or more, you add 1 uh, to the damage. So +1, so we're at 3. And then pygmies have pack tactics, which is misspelled here, but that gives an extra +1 if there's additional pygmies in the space. So we're up to 4. And then we have this +1 from the modifier die. So we're up to 5, which is the same as they did last time. So we do this again. Again, vomit, I believe, is a reflex save. No, grit save. So the cleric has blue. So we will roll a blue for the grit save. And ooh, good news. We got a 2 and a crit. I'm getting a lot of crits this time. I don't know why that just flipped over. Okay, do one more. 1 and a zeal. So I do get a zeal here. So we're up to 3. And I did look this up. So this is pretty clear here that the armor, it just says 1, and the symbol indicates defenses. So I'll show you on the lexicon. I think it says all defenses. There under the defense section on the left, all defenses. So these are saves. The symbol for all saves is right here. It's kind of like all the little things. So basically the armor, the zeal on the armor gives +1 to all your defenses. Since this is a save, this would not impact this. Um, so that's not great for me. But the damage here is, or rather, my defense is 3. I took 5 damage, so that means 2 hit points lost. Dareth is definitely getting beat down by this vomit. And normally I would, actually I do have to, I'll go back to the vomit so you can see. It says, if we took any damage, then the hero exhausts an encounter card of their choice. Unfortunately, my my encounter card is my meta wounds, so that's going to get exhausted. I could use that right now. And then we move over to defending for Jarlek, which hypothetically will be worse because he only has a yellow in grit save. Let's give it a go. Oh, yeah, that's freaking horrible. So he rolled a 0 with a zeal, and I don't have any zeals that improve saves, so he takes 5, the full 5 damage, and goes down to 3. So we are almost dead. We got to finish off these pygmies. Um, so that was their whole round. I mean, they just that's the simplicity of this. You just do a little bit of math to figure it out, and they all go at once, and then it goes back to us. So we have to finish off these 2 pygmies ASAP. I don't even have a heal with Dareth, but I'm going to be smarter this time and do Eulogy with Dareth before the pirate goes. So I will just repeat. I've kind of lost all my abilities now except for Radiant Light, which I still don't want to use. It's a daily ability that's kind of overkill for these guys. Um, so Dareth will just smash with the Morningstar again. Um, actually, wait a minute. While defending. Okay. I'm just looking at the zeal thing here to see if I could have spent my zeal on that. It says while defending, zeal +1 raw damage versus the enemy that attacked you. I still, this comes down to terminology, but because vomit is a save, it's a grit save, I don't believe I'm defending in that moment. I'm saving. So that would hypothetically make sense, right? Like the save is like you're not like taking something on your arm or you're dodging out of the way or you're resisting something happening to your mind. So it would make thematic sense that I couldn't like smash somebody back with my shield. But that is a cool shield ability. Anyway, um, so now it's our turn. I will have Dareth just smash with the Morningstar, which is again blue from the Morningstar, white from strength. I don't know if I said it explicitly before, but when you're doing a melee attack, you use strength. When you're doing a ranged attack, you use your agility and combine with the weapon for the dice that you roll. So I will take a blue and a white. Grab those and roll. And okay, well the 0 is not great, but we did get a crit on the 2. So I'm just rolling crits on the blue like no tomorrow. Oh my gosh, double crits. I, I would say that this is biased, but I am just dropping them in this box. Let's see what we get here. Oh no. Okay, so that's a total of 4. I think we might be okay. They have, I can choose either piercing or bludgeoning for the Morningstar. Um, and they have 1 to both. They have 3 hit points. So Rabid Pygmy 3. One thing I always forget that you're supposed to do is before you attack, you should declare exactly which one you're attacking. I always like just figure it out after the fact, but we're going to say I attack number 3. So to recap, I got a crit, another crit, but then a 0. So these add up to 4. Subtract the armor of 1, 3 damage, which is exactly how much health they have. So enemy number 3 goes down to 3, and number 3 dies. So it's all up to Jarlek to shoot the bejesus out of this last pygmy before they can go again. So thankfully, Jarlek's a good shooter. I don't know if I talked about it just for thematically, but what Jarlek has is Firearms Expert, which increases a die increment on all firearm weapons. Normally this firearm would be a blue, so that increases to a tier of red. And then Life on a Ship, which is a class feature for the pirate, gain dice increment on all firearm attacks. So that takes it up to black. And as you can see here, Firearm Expert gives 1 damage for a zeal. And then there's, oh my gosh, I just remembered something, which is that I have to reload. But I think I'm okay because, this is a question I need to ask. Like, it seems like I can't. So I fired last time, and I don't think I used reload. So the idea here with reload, which let's look real quick in the lexicon to see. Reload is not in this description. Oh, there. Once the weapon is fired, heroes have to spend an action to reload. So I think we're okay. I mean, basically what this would allow you to do is that if you attack, you could spend a zeal to auto reload. Um, so you could just immediately fire again. But if you didn't, like in my situation, then you have to spend a action. And even though I have a zeal token here, I don't think I could use it to reload because it's zeal is used like as a add-on to the attack. So it's totally fine. I have two actions, so I'll use my first action to reload the pistol, and then I will fire. Um, so let's see here. I need a black and a white. What's pretty wild though here is like if I get a crit, it's actually 2 extra damage just straight out of the gate from life on a ship. Um, and then if you get Firearms Master over here and this upgrade, you can add a 2 burning with a crit too. So you can get pretty wild with combos that if you roll a crit, um, you can do a lot of damage. So let's take the black and the white here. I think they have to be kind of close together for this box to work. Drop them in the box. 1 and a 3. I think we're already good. That's 4 damage. It's a reflex save. Their reflex save is 1. So just for fun, I'll say that I added burning just to, you know, burn the corpse of this pygmy. So as a repeat, that's a total of 4. They have 1 reflex, so 3 total health. So this one dies. All right. So the last pygmy is dead. Victory. That's cheesy. Sorry, that's Final Fantasy. Um, and let's really quickly go through rewards. So as a reminder, the rewards for the enemy that you're fighting are down here in the lower right. It is a treasure and 2 XP. So I draw a treasure card. I compulsively shuffle these. Oh, I don't know if I've seen this. A golden wedding band, valuable 8 gallieri. So this is something that I'm assuming we could sell back in a settlement. Um, there is a gear limit of 8 items. We're nowhere near that right now. Jarlek has, you know what, for thematics, I'm going to continue to say Jarlek. So maybe this is very sad. Maybe once these pygmies rush us. Basically, we smashed them, shot them a lot. They continue to rush us. They vomited all over us. It was a really bad scene. But once we drop the last of them, maybe we inspect the corpses uh, that they were eating. Dareth is disgusted that they should be laid to rest. They should not be defiled in that way. But Jarlath ignores him and finds a wedding band on one of the fingers of the people that lived in this house and pockets it, much to Dareth's disgust. Um, so that was, and this is a treasure card. It doesn't have that icon to um, put it back in the deck, so this would stay out of the treasure deck until um, things were refreshed. So we can take our guys here, as I mentioned, just for cleanup. These can be deleted in this tabletop simulator mod. You do need to put these tiles back into the piles. And that is the end of combat. So I think this video hasn't been as long as the last one. Maybe I'll do a little bit more exploration because I think there were some elements that I didn't show. Oh, and I need to give everybody 2 XP. There's a whole advancement section, which I'll just briefly say. I believe you advance when you rest. You're supposed to be able to have 1 short rest per exploration um, to heal up and things like that. And if you have 10 XP, I think at our level at tier 1, you can use it to upgrade. But we're nowhere near that. So uh, right. So what happened here is we did clue 58, which was fighting the pygmies. Let's see what the clue said. So draw standard enemy 9 and combat them, as you can see here. And then since we completed the combat, now we get the magnifying glass. I am not going to search because the first time I played this, as I mentioned before, the search is custom to the adventure. But in this adventure, the search is 1 to 2 is a wandering monster. Oops. 1 to 2 is a wandering monster. Um, 3 to 5 is empty. 6 to 10 is treasure. It's a risk, right? So like when I did this, I think I fought the pygmies. I did a search immediately, and then got wandering monster and more pygmies. And I was like, oh my gosh, more pygmies. So just for the flow of this video, I'm not going to search here, but I could. I have the option to do a random search. So I'm going to go north. So this is the first time I'm showing how exploration works. We're returning to exploration. As a reminder, I can move and go to different places. So I will click 3 here. That will reveal this. Move up to 3. So they're moving up this sort of little trail alongside this wall here on the edge of this semi-frozen lake. So you can see on this map card, there's another one of these wolf heads here and a little bit of forest. So let's see what happens at location 3. So we go back to the adventure book, look up number 3, and what does it say? It says Village Road. There, just a few feet along the dirt road, you see the same wolf head carving. Pass a nature theology check to read clue 32. So this is the first skill check, so I can talk about this here. The way skill checks work is if it these skill checks are really flexible. It might say pass a 3 wisdom, 2 nature theology check. What that means is if there's a number next to it, then you have to roll the associated die and achieve that number. So if it said roll, or if it said 3 wisdom, then you would have to take your wisdom die and roll a 3 to pass, 3 or higher. Um, if it said 2 nature, if you have the skill nature, you would take the associated die. Um, that may be kind of confusing for you because you're like, nature, what's the associated die? There's a section about skills in character creation in the book where they tell you which attribute is related to each skill. Let's see if I can get to it really quick. Here we are. So you can see here all the skills have associated attributes. So nature would be either constitution or wisdom. I assume you can choose whichever one. So if it said nature 2 and you had the nature skill, you could have an easier time of rolling against a 2, and you could use your attribute that is associated with nature. If it doesn't say a number, like right here, it says just pass a nature theology check. That means if you have that skill, you automatically pass. And as we see here, the cleric starts with both theology and nature. So since we have the cleric, whenever you have a skill test, you have to choose one person in the party who's going to take on the test. If you fail, you can no longer attempt it ever again. So thankfully, the cleric has nature and theology, so can auto skill past this and go to clue 32. So after all that talking, let's see what skill clue 32 is. It says, the wolf head is set on a snow-covered plinth, tilted back as if howling at the moon. Your soul seems to connect instantly to the severed head, and your mind races. You've heard whispers of a warlord who emerged from the northern lands of Terekia, now commanding an army poised to challenge the long-standing powers of the Middle Lands. Many of his prophets claim that a god bestowed upon him the gift of the beast, and on the night of his ascendancy, he slaughtered all of his kin. So a little bit of lore from this. And then we can do a search here. Once we complete that, should have, so you can see here on number 3, after we have the option to go check clue 32, then we get the little magnifying glass, so we can do a search here for clue 44, which is, let's see, clue 44, perform a normal search. So first we do that, and I'm going to tell you if I roll a combat, I'm going to say we found nothing because I don't have time in this video to do another combat, but let's give it a roll. That's the wrong die. What are you doing? You grab a D10 for searches. This is our first example of a normal search. It rolled a 6. So if we go back, I just want to remember what clue we were on here. Um, I'll check back later. So normal search. This is, yeah, I would like this. It would be really nice to have this like summary information, especially the search table, like on a card for the adventure, so I'm not constantly flipping back and forth. Even flipping back and forth between these and the clues is a little bit confusing. But let's see. So Village Road was, yeah. So we were doing a search. We rolled a 6. So as I mentioned here on the custom search table, a 6 is a treasure. So we get to draw a treasure. So basically on this Village Road, We do a little bit of searching around and we find anticlimactic, nothing. So in the Stretcher deck, there's actually a card that says nothing. And you can see there on the left side, all the T's say sort of what tier this applies to. Sometimes they'll have different effects for different tiers. But on the bottom there, you can see this folds back into the deck. So we searched around, we actually found nothing. Thought we found something, but it was actually nothing. Okay, so now going back to clue, I think it was 44. Yeah, let's finish this up, and then I just will show you a random area draw, and then we'll finish. So it says perform a normal search, and then as you get ready to move on, the eerie stillness gets interrupted by a strange clicking sound coming from a thicket of trees ahead. If you want to investigate the source of the clicking noise, read clue 34. Alternatively, you can continue on your exploration. So let's do clue 34 just to see what this does. It says trap. Immediately pass a, so here's the example I was giving you, an intelligence 3 or find traps. If we had find traps, we would auto pass. Let's quickly look. The pirate has, it's cutting it off there, but it has acrobatics, deft hands, and history. As I mentioned, the cleric has theology and nature, so no find traps. So we have to make an intelligence 3. You can look at who has higher intelligence. The pirate looks like has a yellow die, so best chance, but the pirate might die. So that's something you have to think about is this is a trap. Whatever. This is going to be a short adventure. Maybe the pirate dies tragically in punishment for all his greed. So we roll this, and it is a 2. So the trap says immediately pass a trap and proceed to 12, which we failed. So it says otherwise continue reading. All heroes must pass a 2 reflex acrobatic. Any hero that fails falls through a makeshift trap covered by leaves and suffers 2 damage. The source of the clicking noise is nowhere to be found. So we all have to make a 2 reflex or acrobatics check. Thankfully, the pirate has acrobatics, so he's walking along, fails to find the trap, almost falls in, but sort of like, jumps out of the way through his acrobatics. And now the cleric in his big, sturdy armor and stuff has to try to make a reflex check. And I don't think it's going to do very well. Reflex is his lowest, which is a white. So we will roll this and see how we do. Oop, missed there. Try one more time. 0. So unfortunately, the cleric, through Jarlek's bad trap finding, leads Jarlek leads the cleric into the trap. He falls in and gets stabbed by some spikes and takes 2 damage. Unfortunate. We are not doing well. Okay, but that was the end of the search here, and I've actually been failing here. I should be putting these little chests out to indicate when I've actually didn't search that thing. So we didn't search B, so this is to indicate we could come back here to this house and search at a later point. But right now I'm going to try to do one more. I think I can get a random area thing here, so I'll just show you the art here. Nice little entrance to a village. We head this direction, and let's look at number 2, which is fresh snow, right? So as you can see, all these different locations have different tile layouts if you were to get into combat. So this says random area. So if we go to the exploration thing, I can show you what this means. A random area is, so this is whenever there's not some narrative or something, it'll say random area. And going back here, explore a new area. In a random area, once the random area card is resolved, the party may actively search the area, and we would roll. So let's do a random area. So there's a random area deck that's custom for this adventure. So let's draw one. And it says, movement extraordinaire. Distance is but an illusion. Death is not. Draw an elite enemy. Place an Oculus teleporter on the highest and lowest tile respectively. You may spend a action to teleport between the 2 tiles. Enemies with, I believe that's willpower equal or higher than the tier +2 can also use the teleporter during the engagement phase. Wow, this is really interesting. So I will draw an elite enemy. We are not going to fight this combat, but it is a rotate a Mencian twin-headed viper with 13 health, large Ophidian creature, and there's a teleporter here. So we would lay out the tiles like I just mentioned. to match this location on the fresh snow, I would probably immediately flee. There's almost no way I would fight this thing. So maybe this is as a last thing, I will tell you how fleeing works. Basically, the way fleeing works is that when it comes to the adventurer's phase, your character phase, you can choose to flee as your action, and it has to be performed on the same round by all heroes standing on the entrance tile and has to be agreed upon by all players. And it takes effect at the end of the round. So what would happen is opener would happen, the enemy phase, then in our character action phase, we could choose to flee if we're on the entrance tile. Then the enemies would get to go again. So it would be a bad scene. But I'm going to stop here. This has probably been a little bit of a longer video. Um, I'm glad I didn't have to play this out because this might be the tragic end of these characters' adventure. But hopefully this was helpful. Drop any comments on in the comment if you have further questions, if I wasn't clear about anything with corrections, and if you want me to cover something about Story of Many. I think I went through most of the main mechanics. Let me know, and I'm happy to record another video. But until then, I will see you all later.